Have you ever felt like your dog knows something you don't? Like they're watching over you with an ancient wisdom that transcends mere animal instinct? If you've ever felt alone in your struggles, misunderstood in your spiritual experiences, or questioned whether the love you feel from your dog is somehow deeper than what others might recognize, you're not alone. You're not imagining things. And what you've been sensing is more real than you know. 3 weeks ago, Sarah from Denver wrote to me about something that left her speechless. Her rescue dog, Max, began pawing at her chest every morning, always the same spot. She ignored it at first, thinking it was just attention-seeking behavior. But when Max's urgency became almost frantic, she finally listened and saw her doctor. They found a small tumor. Stage 1, completely treatable because it was caught so early. Sarah asked me a question that echoes the quiet wondering in so many hearts. James, is there something deeper happening with our dogs? Something spiritual? The answer is yes. And if you've been questioning your own experiences, feeling like maybe you're reading too much into your dog's behavior, or wondering if others would think you're being too sentimental, let me offer you this comfort. You're perceiving something profound and real. If your dog has ever done something that made you wonder if they're more than just a pet, you need to hear this. What we're witnessing isn't coincidence. It's the fulfillment of a prophecy made over 80 years ago by a man who could see the future while he slept. Drop a comment below and tell me, has your dog ever saved your life, detected your illness, or comforted you before you even knew you needed it? Because your experience might be part of something much larger. And if you're ready to discover the hidden connections between you and your four-legged companion, hit that subscribe button. We're uncovering mysteries together that will change how you see consciousness itself. Edgar Cayce, the sleeping prophet, made over 14,000 documented predictions that came true with eerie accuracy. He predicted the Great Depression, both world wars, and even the internet decades before it existed. But there's one Cayce prophecy that remained hidden for decades until now. In 1943, during one of his deepest trance states, Cayce said, "The four-legged guardians will awaken when the earth enters its new vibration. They will become conscious bridges between the physical and spiritual worlds, disguised masters sent to teach humanity about unconditional love." Now, I want you to know something. 15 years ago, when I first encountered this prophecy, I was drowning in skepticism born from pain. If you've ever felt like the world has become too harsh, too disconnected, too void of real meaning, I understand that place. I lived there for a long time. But what if I told you that the very being sleeping at your feet right now, or the memory of a beloved companion who's passed, is part of something so much larger and more loving than our wounded hearts often allow us to believe? Cayce was incredibly specific about when this would happen. He said dogs would awaken to their spiritual purpose when humanity faced its greatest challenges: pandemics, climate crisis, and what he called the time of choosing between fear and love. Sound familiar? But here's what's extraordinary. Cayce described 3 distinct waves of this awakening. Wave 1, dogs developing supernatural abilities to detect disease and predict events before they happen. Wave 2, direct telepathic communication between you and your dog. Wave 3, dogs becoming energy healers, capable of what he called emotional alchemy, transforming your pain into healing through their very presence. If you've noticed changes in your dog's behavior lately, heightened sensitivity, uncanny timing, or an almost human-like awareness, you're witnessing this prophecy unfold. But before we explore what's happening globally, let me share what happened in my own living room that shattered everything I thought I knew about consciousness. Picture this. It's 3 a.m. on a Tuesday. I'm sitting on my kitchen floor in my underwear, sobbing like a broken child. My 15-year marriage had just ended. My career had vanished. And 3 days earlier, I'd said goodbye to my father, a man I'd loved but never truly known how to reach. If you've ever sat in that kind of darkness, where it feels like everything you built your life upon has crumbled, where the loneliness is so complete it actually has weight, then you know that particular geography of the human heart. In that moment, I wasn't a spiritual teacher or a seeker of ancient wisdom. I was just a broken man who couldn't see past his own pain. Maybe you've been there too. Maybe you're there right now. That's when Buddha, my golden retriever, offered me something I didn't even know I needed. Instead of his usual gentle approach, he came over and simply laid his entire body across my lap, not beside me, across me, as if he knew that what I needed wasn't space or distraction, but the undeniable presence of unconditional love, the weight of him, the warmth. It was like being held by something larger than both of us. In that moment, I wasn't alone anymore. And if you've ever felt the healing power of your dog's presence during your darkest hours, you know exactly what I mean. For the next 3 weeks, something miraculous happened. Every time my grief was about to overwhelm me, before I even recognized it myself, Buddha would simply appear. Not when I called for him, not when I was already crying, but somehow he knew what I needed before I did. If your dog has ever done this for you, if they've ever shown up exactly when your heart was breaking, or rested their head on your lap during moments you thought no one could understand, they were doing exactly what Buddha did for me. They were being a bridge between your pain and something larger, something healing, something that loves you unconditionally. I started paying real attention. When anger about the divorce would start building in my chest, Buddha would rest his head right there until that fire cooled down. When anxiety about the future would grip me, he'd somehow get me outside, walking, fully present in the moment. Then came an evening I'll never forget. I was reading the Tibetan Book of the Dead, not as a scholar, but as someone desperate to understand what happens when we lose the people we love. Buddha walked over, settled beside me with that particular sigh dogs make when they're choosing to stay close, and gently placed his paw on the page I was reading. The passage spoke of recognizing the clear light of consciousness, that eternal awareness that exists beyond all our human suffering, beyond all our fears of loss and abandonment. When I looked into Buddha's eyes in that moment, I saw something that changed everything. I saw that this light, this consciousness, this love, it was there, present, real, looking back at me through the eyes of a being who had never forgotten what I had spent my whole life trying to remember. If you've had moments like this with your companion, if you've felt seen, understood, comforted in ways that transcend explanation, please know that you're not imagining it. You're not being overly sentimental. You're experiencing something profound and real. A love that operates beyond the boundaries of what we typically understand. And if you've lost a beloved dog and find yourself wondering if that connection continues somehow, if you still feel their presence in quiet moments, trust that feeling. Love like that doesn't simply end, because what I discovered about Buddha was just the beginning. Around the world, millions of you are reporting similar experiences, and what I'm about to share will make you question everything you thought you knew about animal consciousness. Your experiences matter. What I experienced with Buddha wasn't unique or special to me. It's happening everywhere, to people just like you, who sometimes wonder if they're alone in sensing something deeper in their relationship with their dogs. Maria from Barcelona wrote to me about her border collie, Luna, who began following her elderly mother everywhere, gently guiding her away from stairs, bringing her shoes, offering a constant, loving presence. Weeks later, they discovered her mother was in the early stages of dementia. Luna wasn't just detecting a medical condition. She was offering the gift of protection, of anticipatory love, of being there before the need was even recognized. If you've noticed your dog showing unusual attentiveness to someone you love, or if they've ever seemed to know about changes in your health or emotional state before you did, they were offering you the same gift, the gift of being truly seen and cared for. If this sounds familiar, please share your story below. Your experience might be exactly what another viewer needs to understand what's happening in their own home. Then there's David from Toronto. His rescue pit bull, Shadow, developed this incredible ability to position himself between family members when tension starts building. Before arguments can even escalate, Shadow creates this peaceful buffer zone. David says conflicts that used to last hours just dissolve. The whole energy of the room shifts when Shadow does his work. You know, what strikes me about these stories isn't that they're happening, it's that they're happening everywhere, to ordinary people living ordinary lives. There's something profound unfolding in the relationship between humans and dogs that goes far beyond what we've traditionally understood. From Japan to Germany, From Brazil to Australia, I'm hearing the same stories. Dogs appearing exactly when their humans need them most. Animals displaying healing abilities that seem to emerge from nowhere. Therapy programs reporting unprecedented levels of natural empathy in dogs who've never received formal training. This isn't limited to one place or one breed. Something is awakening in dogs everywhere, and those of us paying attention can feel it. What I experienced with Buddha during my darkest nights, that profound sense of being understood, of not being alone in my pain, you're experiencing it too. And now science is beginning to catch up with what we've always felt in our hearts. But the evidence suggests we're just seeing the beginning. The third wave Cayce predicted, it's happening right now, and what you're about to discover will change how you see every interaction with your dog forever. The deeper awakening, here's where Cayce's prophecy reveals its deeper truth, and where your relationship with your dog becomes a doorway to understanding consciousness itself. The second wave Cayce predicted is telepathic communication, and it's happening right now in homes across the planet. Imagine thinking about coming home, and your dog is already waiting at the door, even though you're miles away with no set schedule. Or your pet appears beside you exactly when you're feeling sad, without you showing any external signs. There's a story that illustrates this perfectly. A woman wrote to me about her fox terrier, who always seemed to know when she was coming home. Not when she left work, but the exact moment the thought of returning home formed in her mind. For months, she tested this. Different routes, different times, different moods. Always the same result. Her dog would position himself at the window precisely when the intention to come home arose in her consciousness. What does this tell us about the nature of connection? About consciousness itself? You know, in my journey from corporate skeptic to spiritual seeker, I've learned that the most profound truths often come disguised as the most ordinary experiences. That moment when your dog appears just when you need them, that's not coincidence. That's consciousness communicating beyond the limitations of physical reality. In Tibetan Buddhism, there's a concept called tulku, enlightened beings who choose to reincarnate specifically to help others awaken. In Sufi tradition, they speak of abdol, hidden saints who maintain the spiritual balance of the world. What if some of our dogs are exactly these beings? What if they're advanced souls who chose to incarnate in forms that would allow them to live intimately with humans during this crucial period of our evolution? The third wave, what we're entering now, takes this even deeper. Dogs are becoming what Cayce called energy cleansers, capable of transforming not just our emotions, but the very energetic fabric of our environments. Thousands of you describe coming home after difficult days and feeling all the heavy energy simply disappear the moment your dog approaches. Others tell me about dogs who seem to absorb tension from rooms where arguments have occurred, then discharge it through yawning, trembling, or simply lying in those spaces for long periods. I think about Buddha during my grief, how he would literally absorb my pain through his presence. Not just comfort, actual energetic transformation, as if my sorrow was being alchemized into something else entirely through his being. This isn't metaphor. This is lived experience that many of us share, but rarely discuss. The sense that our dogs know us in ways that transcend normal understanding, that they're operating from a place of consciousness we're only beginning to recognize. And this is where your role becomes crucial, because recognizing and nurturing these abilities can completely transform your relationship and open portals of communication you never thought possible. Tonight, if you're able, I want to offer you a gift, a way to deepen this connection that already exists between you and your dog. Find a quiet space together. Turn off the demands of the day, the notifications, the endless mental chatter about what needs to be done. Sit with your dog and simply breathe together. Look into their eyes, not seeking anything, not trying to prove anything, just being present with another conscious being who loves you exactly as you are. Notice how your breathing naturally slows. Feel how the worry and tension you carry begins to soften in their presence. This isn't imagination. This is the healing that happens when we allow ourselves to receive the love that's being offered. Now try this. Mentally send them a thought of gratitude. Not spoken words, just the feeling of thankfulness flowing from your heart to theirs. Watch their response. Many of you will be amazed at what happens next. This is what ancient masters called rigpa. natural awareness. Your dog is offering you a direct transmission of enlightened presence, not through words or concepts, but through their very being. The more you practice this conscious connection, the more you'll start recognizing this same presence in everyday life. At work, in relationships, even in challenging situations. Your dog is literally teaching you how to access states of consciousness that mystics have spent lifetimes trying to cultivate. If you don't have a dog with you right now, you can do this practice while thinking of a dog you've loved. That connection transcends physical presence. Love like that exists outside of time and space. And if you're missing a dog who's no longer with you, they would want you to feel this peace. They would want you to know that the love you shared continues, that the comfort they brought you is still available in the quiet moments when you open your heart to receive it. Try this practice tonight, and if it resonates, share what happens in the comments. I genuinely read every response, and your experiences often illuminate aspects of this mystery I hadn't considered. Whether you have a dog or not, there's something even larger at work here that touches all of our lives. What we're witnessing isn't just about individual dogs and their humans. It's about something larger awakening in our world, a remembering of what connection really means, what love really looks like when it's not complicated by human fears and expectations. If you've been feeling disconnected from others, or worried that authentic love is becoming rare in our world, your dog is showing you that it's not. They're demonstrating that unconditional love is not only possible, it's present, available, and offering itself to you every single day. During moments of global uncertainty, during times when the world feels harsh or divided, something beautiful happens. Dogs everywhere seem to become more attuned, more present, more capable of offering exactly the comfort we need. It's as if they're connected to something larger than their individual selves, a frequency of love that responds to our collective need for healing, for reassurance, for the reminder that we're not alone in this experience of being human. So if you've been carrying worry about the state of the world, or grief about personal losses, or anxiety about the future, let your dog remind you of something important. Love is still here. Connection is still possible. You are held by something much larger and more caring than your worried mind can fathom. Cayce predicted this awakening would happen when humanity faced its greatest choice, between fear and love. And our dogs? They're showing us what choosing love looks like in action. Every time your dog comforts you without being asked, every time they sense your needs before you voice them, every time they transform the energy in a room just by being there, they're demonstrating the kind of consciousness we're all capable of accessing. They're not more evolved than us. They're simply remembering what we forgot in our human complexity. That love is the fundamental force of creation, that all beings are connected, that presence is more powerful than any strategy or technique. So whether you're dealing with loss, anxiety, relationship struggles, or just feeling disconnected in this rapidly changing world, remember, the spiritual guidance you've been seeking might be sitting beside you right now, tail wagging, waiting for you to recognize the teacher and the student. The teachers have arrived, and they've been patiently waiting beside us all along, through our joys and sorrows, our fears and hopes, our moments of doubt, and our glimpses of grace. Edgar Cayce's prophecy isn't about some distant future phenomenon. It's about recognizing what has always been true, that love comes to us in forms we might not expect, that consciousness expresses itself through beings who ask nothing from us except the chance to love us completely. Tonight, when you see your dog or think of a dog you've loved, remember this: you're not just looking at a pet. You're witnessing a miracle of connection, a bridge between your human heart and something infinite and loving that has never abandoned you, even in your darkest moments. You are seen, you are known, you are loved. And if you've ever doubted that, let your four-legged teacher remind you of this truth as many times as you need to hear it. If this understanding brings you comfort, consider sharing it with someone who might need this reminder. We're all walking this path together, finding healing and hope in the most unexpected places. The love is here. It's always been here. Your dog knows it, and deep down, so do you.